understand the basic before we move to the separate sheet and SQL and our programming language. It's better to understand the basic first. So where's the data collection? Where's the first data party? What is the first party data, second party data, third party? First party data, the data that you are available in your organization. So you know what's the data type, you know you work with the data, you are familiar with the data. Second party data, the data is collected by a group and they sell it to another group. Third party data is data collected from outside sources who did not collect it directly and then they buy it to you. So you have to understand what is the type of data. There's first party data, you sell it from outside sources or you take it from third party data. So before you work on the data you have to, because the issue with that, you have to change maybe the name is different. Maybe you work with the meter and then you receive the data with the feet, you have to change the names. Maybe you have one entity names are different in each table, so you have to check them before you move on. So this is so important. And how much to collect is depend on your project. If you want to represent all the population, so you have to collect all, for example, the traffic cars, the car traffic in the city. If you work with a specific sample, so a sample maybe represent this population is useful for you. How you select the right data, so how the data will be collected. If you collect the data using your own resources, the first party data, or you collect it from other sources. So then that means you need to work on it before you work on it. You have to check everything. Data source, if it's first party, second party, third party. Solving your business problem. So depend on your if you need to work with the data is over time, so you need to collect the date time. If you need to check the how much the frequency you have, so you need to make a bar chart. From the bar chart you see how much frequency you have. Depend on the business, you have to collect the data on it. How much data to collect is depend on your project. If you need to represent all the population or you take one specific sample, but you have to make sure the sample is randomly selected to avoid the bias, and the bias is so important useful term you have to understand. So time frame, how much time do you have? If you don't have time, then maybe the historical data is enough for you. If you have time, maybe the new data will be so useful, because the new data and new research, you'll be more happy to work with this data. Data collection, select the right type of data, then determine the time frame. If you have time, use existing. If you don't have time, use existing data. If you have time, then collect a new data. Choose data source and decide what data to use, and then decide how data will be collected, decide how much data to collect. So this is the time frame how you work with the data collection consideration. And then you have to understand what's the data type that we have. We have a quantitative, qualitative. Quantitative with numbers, and we have two types: discrete, continuous. Discrete is data that counted and has a limited numbers of values. So counted, limited number of values is like the student in the class, the number of student, number of cars, numbers of goals scored in a football match. This is discrete data. Continuous data can be measured, not counted, measured. Like the height, like the weight of the bag is measured. Is a number and measured. This is number and counted. Qualitative is about the characteristic, the quality, and we have two type is nominal data, ordinal data. Nominal data that is not set in order, like male, female, other is A or B, A B, A B O, is not set in order. This is the nominal data. And the ordinal data is set in order. It's like the education level. So primary, secondary, baccalaureate, master, and then PhD. T-shirt, small, medium, large, extra large. It's the ordinal data. So you have to understand the data type. You have to understand how you collect the data. What is the data type that I have? If it's like time data, it is the so you have to check everything before you work on. So depend data format classification. So if the data is primary data or secondary data. Primary data, that you are the source of your data. Secondary data you collect it from other side. And these examples. Internal data, external data is the same. Internal data inside your organization, external data out from your organization. So you have to check. You have to check everything. So you will see the naming is different. You will see the formatting is different. The unit is different. Everything is different. You have to check before you work on it. Structural data and the structural data is the Oracle database. Like Oracle database, the data that is stored in columns and rows. You have columns and rows. Unstructured data is not stored like in column and rows. This example of unstructured data is videos, emails, social media posts. So understanding what the data type that you're working on is so important. The fairness issue with unstructured data is okay nowadays because development, the AI, artificial machine learning, is the only fairness now if the data is biased or not biased. Is it representing all the population or not? Is not an issue now if the data is unstructured, not stored in columns or all, but you have to with the machine learning and AI, it's gonna be so easy to work on it. So another thing to have to understand was the data modeling. Data modeling is the process of creating diagram that visually represent how data is organized and structured. Is the data model how the data is organized and structured. A most common type of data modeling is the physical part and then logical conceptual business concept. So each part for physical data modeling is depict how a database operate. So it's the basic where is he define everything, define the entity, the attributes, and then logical data modeling for technical details of a database such as a relationship, attribute, and entities. And then the high level, the high view of the data structure is how data interact across an organization, the interact part. So data modeling techniques, you have two techniques. One is entity relationship diagram and unified modeling language, UML. ERD is the visual way to understand relationship between entities and the model. And then UML diagrams are very detailed diagrams that describe structure of the system and how the system entities attribute. No worries, I will keep this PowerPoint so you read it carefully. It's better just to understand what is the how to collect the data, what is the data type, and what is the data modeling. Is essential if you have an interview, if essential if you need to go for a data analysis. They will ask you for these simple questions, but you have to understand before we move to the to work on the Access sheets, SQL, programming language. You understand what these things mean. So it is data modeling and data analysis. For data modeling is so useful for data analysis because it will show you how the data is organized. What is the base? What is the top? How the data is organized? So useful. And data transformation. If you receive data from different sources, so you have maybe to add, you need to delete, you need to duplicate, you need to remove the duplicate, you need the missing naming, you need to check everything, you need to prepare, you need to take the data and transform it into a CSV file. So you're working on it and with the SQL, with the R programming language. You need to check all the things naming, columns name, then check the rows, if you have empty space, if you have misspelling. That's why it's so important to do data transformation before you work on it. Bias and unbiased is so important. Imagine like a teachers he need to take the student opinion about if the exam was satisfied or not, so he take only the people that is pass in the exam and he don't consider the people that fail in the exam. So that mean he will he will see the positive trend. Why the people is passing the exam, he'll have positive trend. He will not see the people that is failed in the exam. This is what the bias. We take one consider for the something that is, and you include all the others things. And this is in the and when you collect the data, you have to consider all the possible samples. You're not gonna exclude any sample because this is bias. You have to include all the population so your data is not biased. Sampling bias is a representative of the population. Is a sample isn't representative. So as we say, bias is so important. You have to include all the population. You're not gonna just exclude the data that is not useful for you, because at the end this is the data from a resource that is representing one sample. You have to take it into consideration, so your work is gonna be not biased. And type of biased data bias, like observable bias, is when like a researcher have one opinion, other researcher have another opinion, so this is about the opinion. Interpretational bias is when you interpret something. For example, if your boss is calling you and you didn't reply because you thought he's angry, so you didn't call him, you didn't answer him. So this is the how you interpret things, maybe, but maybe he's not angry. You just need to check. So this is how you interpret things bias. Confirmation bias, it is like you believe in something, and you believe in something, so you need to confirm this thing that you work on, the data you work on is as you believe. This is the bias you have to take another consideration. A relation database is so important in Oracle database. Oracle database is all about columns and rows. Should be columns and rows, and these columns and rows have relationship with another columns and rows. Two most important things: the primary key and secondary key. What's the primary key? So have to be unique in each table. What's the foreign key? Foreign key is the primary key in another table. You have to understand that. It's so much more important when you work on a SQL and you need to combine, you need to merge too many tables, so you have to check what is the primary key, what is the foreign key. Otherwise you cannot join this table. So primary key to ensure data a specific column is unique. Foreign key, a columns or a group of columns in a relation database table that will provide a link between the data. So what is the primary key in customer table? We have the customer ID, it is unique. In the branch table, we have the unique is a branch ID, is the only branch ID in this, is the only customer ID in the customer table. So this is the primary key. In the data table column, we have data ID, so this is the primary key. In the product table, we have product ID. This is the only product ID in this table, in this column. So this is the primary key. In this column, this is the primary key. This is the primary key. So where is the foreign key? The foreign key is the same customer ID we have in the customer table. We have customer ID in the revenue table. So one of them is a primary key, the other one is the foreign key. So the foreign key is the same primary key in this table. So one of them is a primary key, the other one is foreign key. What this relation mean? That means if you need, this is so useful if you need to join this table with this table, so you know how to join them because you have the connections between this column and this column, this data, this data. If you need to join them, use left joint, right joint, outer joint, inner joint. It's so useful to identify where is the primary key, where is the second key, so you can join them. There is a relationship between them. This is the relational database, so important especially for Oracle database. So this is just the things that you need to know before we start working on the Excel sheet and SQL in our programming language. So if you see this information is useful, please leave a comment, subscribe, give me likes so I keep continue. We'll start continue our we prepare, it's finished now. We will go to the process where we start using downloading the data from sources, collect it, organize it, and then we start our data analysis cleaning. How we clean, how we check the duplicate, how we miss spelling, we check everything, and then we start our journey. So thank you for watching and see you in the next video.